moving on from one really ridiculous, terrible story to, have you heard of a guy named Bernard Sanders? Have you heard of a man named Bernie Sanders? Obviously, it's been a big week for progressives. It's been a big week for Bernie Sanders. The corporate media doesn't really want to actually tell the story about Amazon raising its minimum wage the real way, the correct way, because the headline is Bernie Sanders made the most wealthy men in the world cave to grassroots pressure. As I showed you in one of the videos I did, MSNBC, it's up now on the channel, an MSNBC anchor, as soon as Bernie was mentioned during the segment, oh my God, she moved quickly off of that topic. Then you had Hillary Clinton sending out a tweet praising Jeff Bezos and Amazon for raising the minimum wage. No mention of Bernard Sanders. Still, after losing to an orange orangutan, she can't bring herself to actually compliment the progressive movement, compliment Bernie Sanders. I digress. But Bernie Sanders, so you always hear, he's going to be 79 if he became president. And he's too old, blah, 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 blah. You would think, thank you, Paul, who says, my opinion, Bernie is someone I highly admire, like you, Jordan, thank you. You would think that Bernie, after a 6-month pressure campaign that made Amazon cave and raise its minimum wage, would maybe take a day off, would maybe take a breather, go out to dinner with Jane, have a victory lap. It's a huge accomplishment. If the only thing a politician accomplished in their career was forcing the richest man in the world, somebody who makes $66,000 every 10 seconds, God knows how much money he's made since I've been live, that would be pretty good if that's the only thing you could accomplish. But Bernie Sanders has not taken a day off because he's already starting a pressure campaign on Ronald McDonald. Now, I have to admit, when I was at the Young Turks, and since I've been at the Young Turks after the fact, I have unfortunately ate way too much McDonald's on the road. I do like my chicken nuggets, even though it's not real chicken. I know it's bad for me. It's probably part of my digestive issues that I've been having. I have eaten McDonald's quite too much on the road. But I am willing to stop eating McDonald's until they raise the minimum wage. And now Bernie is doing the same thing he did to Amazon with McDonald's. Let me read you the letter that he wrote to McDonald's CEO today. As I'm sure you know, Amazon, Whole Foods, and the Walt Disney Company recently raised the minimum wage for its workers to $15 an hour. I am respectfully asking you, as the CEO of one of the largest fast food chains in the world, to do the same. If McDonald raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour and respected the constitutional rights of your workers to form a union, it would set an example for the entire fast food industry to follow. Today, McDonald's pay wages that are so low that many of its workers need food stamps, Medicaid, and public housing to survive. According to one study, U.S. taxpayers are subsidizing the low pay at McDonald's to the tune of $1.2 billion a year. $1.2 billion a year. In my view, that is unacceptable. McDonald's is not a poor company. Last year, it made over $5.1 billion in profits and rewarded the wealthy shareholders with over $7.7 billion in dividends and stock buybacks. God, that's sick. If McDonald's can't afford to give its shareholders $7.7 billion, it could afford to pay all of its workers $15 an hour. I have met with, and my office has spoken to several McDonald's workers who are not able to make ends meet. One McDonald's worker said, quote, "We're tired of surviving, we want to live." Oh, God, that's powerful. We are tired of surviving, we want to live. We can't even survive off $7.25. Another said, "We don't want to rely on assistance programs anymore or figure out how we're going to pay our rent or afford our next meal." In the year 2018, no one in America, especially those working for a profitable corporation like McDonald's, should be living in poverty. Nearly 60 years ago, 200 brave fast food workers kicked off the Fight for 15 at a McDonald's in New York City. Today, their demands for $15 an hour and union rights spread across the country and turned what once seemed impossible into an inevitability. More than 15 strikes later, 22 million workers have won raises totaling more than $62 billion. New York, California, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Washington and then D.C., Seattle, Minneapolis, and Flagstaff are all on the way to raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. With more than a fifth of the country on the path to $15 an hour, it's time for McDonald's to listen to the needs of its workers and join the growing number of companies paying its workers a living wage. Signed, Bernard Sanders. So it's not just me who says Bernard Sanders. And thank you to Hugh Edwards, who just dropped $20 in the super chat. Thank you very much. So, first of all, I'm 32, so I'm a little younger than Bernie. I don't have the energy Bernie has. Like, when I break a story, I rev up, and then I like to take a day off. This man, if anyone wants to talk about his age in terms of running for president, they are full of shit. And thank you, Turbo, for the $4.99. He says, or she says, USA has been under the thumb of right-wing coup since Allen Dulles constructed the CIA. Assassination of Kennedy was nail in the coffin. You know, the CIA is really the capitalist's invisible army. Capitalism's invisible army. That's what the CIA stands for. So, Bernie Sanders, it's going to become kind of an unsustainable position for companies like McDonald's, and then Burger King, and Walmart, to not pay at least $15 a worker. And I want to make something clear, because I've seen some of the comments under these videos. I don't think $15 an hour is enough. But there's a difference between accepting incrementalism, which I do not accept incrementalism. I've done videos on that. Incrementalism is really code for take crumbs and shove it up your ass. I'm not for gradualism or incrementalism. So I don't think going, in some cases, from $10 an hour to $15 an hour is incrementalism. $10 an hour to $15 an hour has the actual ability to change somebody's life. It's not going to buy you a gold pony, but $15 an hour can help you live. It can take some of the pressure off of you. So just because we want what it should be, according to inflation, some estimates say $22 an hour, some $25 an hour should be the minimum wage. I agree, because prices are going up in all areas. I just had ice cream the other night, and literally for a double scooped cone, it was $10.25. Boo Fry, thanks for the $4.20. For those of you who say Bernie sold out, shut the fuck up, Boo Fry says. There goes my monetization. Potty mouth. But $15 an hour, although it's not where we want to be or where we need to be, it is a major step in the right direction. For those of you who don't see that, I think you need to be a little more open-minded and reasonable. It's a step in the right direction. So, we saw Jeff Bezos, who's the richest man in the world. Most rich people, and I'm not saying all of them, most rich people really don't like being called out for being greedy. Most rich people really don't like it to be known to the masses how greedy they are, how poorly they treat their workers, how many homes they have, how many yachts they have, how many cars they have, how many vacations they take. And that's what Bernie did with Amazon, and that's what he's going to do with McDonald's. And I would argue, more people in America would have a visceral emotional response to McDonald's treating its workers wrong and not paying its workers than Amazon. Amazon is a relatively new thing. It's only been around for over a decade. Most people use it, but everybody remembers McDonald's. Most people went to McDonald's as a kid. I remember with me, my mother, love you, Mom, probably not good for my digestive system, but my mother, if I would get an A on my report card, which wasn't often, she would take me to McDonald's, right? Most people, especially middle class to poor people, go to McDonald's because it's the cheapest source of food. Most people, if they've taken road trips, if you drive a lot, you see McDonald's all over the place. So most people, when you hear McDonald's, you have an emotional response. And one thing Bernie Sanders has done very, very well since losing his election in 2016, and a lot of credit to his staff, he's using the power of digital and social media better than most people in their 20s do. You've seen him host live streams exclusively online. You've seen them pumping out digital videos with Amazon workers who are being treated wrongly, with Amazon workers that could barely afford to eat. That's coming for you, McDonald's. That's coming for you, McDonald's. I mean, it's not a coincidence that Bernie Sanders basically took like a quarter-mile victory lap on Amazon and now is starting on McDonald's. I assume next is Walmart. So what is the McDonald's CEO going to do? Is he just going to like fly under the radar? Is he going to do what Amazon originally did and said, your statistics are wrong, Bernie, and this isn't fair, and you're being mean? And by the way, let's also, one thing that Bernie did not do in his fight against Amazon, which I personally think you might want to try with McDonald's, let's name the names of these shareholders. Let's name the name of these greedy shareholders. Because let me tell you something. I'm not against, if people invest in a company, them wanting a return on their investment. I'm not against that. I am against if those people are taking such hordes and hordes of dividends and money, knowing full well that the actual labor and the workers producing their dividends, reducing their return on investment, are literally choosing between paying for medication or food. And I have met those people. So let's name the names. Who are these shareholders? Let's ask them what they think of McDonald's workers, in some cases not even making more than $10 an hour. Let's see what they think about, I'm assuming, based on what I know of fast food work, them not really getting a full, healthy level for a lunch break. I'm assuming I'd like to know what the shareholders think of their crappy health care provided, while McDonald's CEO is hoarding money. What was the number? 5 billion in profit a year? And you can't pay workers $15 an hour? Jerry Young, $5. Got a split, but since YouTube decided to screw with my subscriptions again, here's a few more dollars. Thanks for all you do. You'll always have my support. Jerry, forever young, forever young, forever young. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. There's more karaoke with that money. It's truly, truly astounding. And by the way, just to be clear, because you see all these media reports. You see all these media reports by these, capitalists and these establishment Democrats who like to say, well, they can't raise the minimum wage because then the price for Amazon goods are going to go up. Or then, they're going to not be able to hire low-wage workers. Apparently they can, because Jeff Bezos just did it. He just did it. He just raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So apparently they can raise the minimum wage. This isn't like a dilemma. Well, we just don't have the money to do it. It's a choice. And by the way, this isn't part of the discussion often. When you're making like $10.10 an hour, or if you're making $7.25 an hour, that's before your state taxes. It's before your city taxes if you live in a city. It's before your Social Security taxes. So what are people really bringing home? So I think, not that Bernie is listening to me. I'm not an advisor. I want to know who are these shareholders, because we shouldn't just be shaming the CEO of the company who's hoarding money. We should be shaming the shareholders that are okay with them making hordes and hordes of money, not just their return on investment, but dividends and all this at the expense of the workers.